Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome to Unity Orlando. Our opening statement this morning is, I celebrate the vast possibilities for my life. Let's all affirm that together. I celebrate the vast possibilities for my life. All right, let's all close our eyes, take a nice deep breath in, and let's affirm that together in the silence. And so it is. And now if you'd like to stand and help us sing our joy song this morning, it's Light Workers Greeting Song. Before we were born, we chose to speak and live. What if before we've shared, we chose a life to give away a truth today, and hear the angels say, we all let love lead the way. We all let love lead the way. We all let love lead the way. What if before we could breathe, we chose to speak of love? What if before we could sing, we chose to be one of all the voices of an angel's choir, singing wisdom and our heart's desire, speaking absolute truth and love. Speak of absolute truth and love. Speak of absolute truth and love. What if we were God's love, living in God's love? What if the Christ in me has set my spirit free? Then I realize what I've hoped is true. The Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. The Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. The Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. The Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. The Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. The Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. The Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. The Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. The Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. Hi, thank you very much. You may be seated.
Good morning, Unity Orlando. How's everybody doing today? Great to see you out there and online. Welcome. I'm Susan Francis, your platform speaker today. I don't think we have any visitors. I recognize each and every person here. I'm glad you're here. Prayer chaplains are available to pray after service. In the house today is Reverend Paul and myself. If you need prayer, see one of us. Also, remember we pray every evening at 8 p.m., so join us on that. And the September affirmation is, I live my life fully right now is all I have. Let's see. Reverend Lulu has a new book study that will be coming up. It's called The Trip to Bethlehem. It's a book written by a Unity minister. Her name is Reverend Hypatia Hasbrook. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it's just in time for the Advent season. So if you're interested, it will begin. It's going to be on Zoom as always at 7 p.m. It starts October 21st. There'll be flyers and information next week on the credenza. And Reverend Paul's lesson today is Leading a Spiritual Life, which should be a good one. But before I turn it over to Brian, I have a little story about a new Navy seaman. So Reverend Paul was in the Navy, so I thought this was appropriate. So it goes, the crusty Navy Master Chief noticed a new face, and he barked at him, "Get over here! What's your name, sailor?" And the sailor replied, "John." And the Master Chief said, "Look, I don't know what kind of bleeding hard garbage they're teaching sailors in boot camp these days, but I don't call anybody by their first name." He says, "It breeds familiarity, and it leads to a breakdown in authority." He says, "I refer to my sailors by their last names only: Smith, Jones, Baker, Jackson, whatever, Kenney." And he says, "And you are to refer to me as Master Chief. Do I make myself clear?" He says, "Aye, aye, Master Chief." And so the chief says, "Now that we've got that straight, what's your last name?" The seaman sighed and he said, "Darling. My name is John Darling, Master Chief." And he says, "Okay, John, here's what I want you to do." I thought that was good. Ain't no way he's going to call him Darling. For sure.
All right. Thank you,
Yep.
Susan.
Yep.
Here's a song called Spirit Wonders. I don't know what you're here to be. I don't know if you sing harmony. All I know is that you're gonna see God's light in me. I don't know if I'm wrong or right. All I know is that I live in the light. Let it shine long and bright. God's light through me. Spirit wandering very close. Spirit winds blow through my soul. Spirit moves me. This I know. Spirit grows deep in my soul. Channel, I'm a stream. I'm just a river flowing through a dream. I'm alive and I will survive with God's light in me. So I can see Spirit wandering very slow. Spirit winds blow through my Spirit moves me. This I know. Spirit grows deep in my soul. I'm a channel, I'm a stream. I'm just a river flowing through a dream. I'm alive and I will survive with God's light in me. So I can see Spirit wandering very slow. Spirit winds blow through my soul. Spirit moves me. This I know. Spirit grows deep in my soul.
Beautiful. Thank you, band. Susan, Carol, Carolyn, John, and Brian. Deep in my soul. That's where we're going to try to go today, so it's a perfect song. Good morning, everyone. Everyone here in the sanctuary, everyone online, welcome. So today we're going to talk about leading a spiritual life, and a lot of it's going to be what I do. You know, I'm going to throw out examples of things for you to think about. I'm sure a lot of you have a spiritual practice that you do, and so I'm not really going to be asking you to change that. I'm just going to be throwing some things out for you to consider. And if you don't have a spiritual practice that you've developed, I've got some ideas on how you can get started on that. Okay, so diagram number 1, the purpose of this talk is to discuss the benefits associated with leading a more spiritual life, to develop a personal program of daily spiritual activities that work best for you. Now, the benefits are a deeper sense of oneness with all aspects of creation, an inner peace that passes all understanding, feeling God's love on a very deep level, living with an enhanced ability to receive and follow spiritual guidance, a deep appreciation for the present moment, and an enhanced ability to enjoy life. And we're going to be talking about that enjoying life next Sunday. So as our spirituality advances, the benefits become a bigger part of our daily lives. And that's where we're trying to go. Our job is to establish a solid foundation for that spiritual advancement to occur. So let's look at how Jesus did that in diagram number 2. Mark 1:12. Right after he was baptized by John, at once the Spirit sent him out into the wilderness. Mark 1:35. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. In Luke 15-16, yet the news about him spread all the more, so that crowds of people came to hear him and to be healed of their sicknesses. But Jesus often withdrew to a lonely place and prayed. Mark 6:45-46. Immediately after Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him while he dismissed the crowd. After leaving them, he went up on a mountainside to pray. And Matthew 6:6. But when you pray, go into your most private room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. So Jesus was demonstrating that time alone with God is a key element, okay, in our spiritual life. And he was encouraging us to do the same. So my story in reference to that, I was born into a Catholic family. I grew up that way. I went to church on Sunday. I spent some years in Catholic school, and I went to religious education, but I was kind of just going through the motions. A lot of times I went to church on Sunday because I had to go, right? I never remember my parents saying, would you like to stay home today, right? So a lot of it was out of a sense of obligation, and the rest of the week, there was really no spiritual activity going on in my life. Maybe a bedtime prayer or a prayer before meals, but that was pretty much it. So as I moved along, the very first time I started to experience a daily spiritual practice, I was on a very long deployment in the Navy, and 8.5 months. And we actually had one period in there where we were at sea for 110 days straight. And the chaplain on the ship, who was a Catholic priest, would hold a daily mass. And I decided I'm going to go to that. It was in the morning. It was 20 minutes long. But it was the first time I did something on a daily basis. And I could feel the difference just by putting in that time. And then when I was 41 years old and I dove into A Course in Miracles, that book has a workbook that has 365 lessons, one for each day of the year. And I did them in a very disciplined fashion. So I was doing spiritual activity every day for an entire year. And that was a big change for me. I had never meditated before. And right around lesson 35, it leads you into meditation and keeps you in meditation all the way through 365. So I learned how to do that and had some pretty significant spiritual experiences. Okay, so let's go to diagram number 3. Develop your own spiritual practice and make this a top priority. There's no right way or wrong way when it comes to spiritual practices. There's only what works for you. What works for one person may not work for another person. Finding what resonates with you is the key to developing your own spiritual practice. And it may change over time. As your spiritual awareness increases, your practice may need to be adjusted to keep up with your development. So I'm going to give you a lot of ideas on how to develop your own spiritual practice. And I do want to mention that everything you're going to see is in the lesson notes. So there's a lot of material there. If you go to our website, click on services, click on lesson notes, you can download a PDF file that has everything that you're going to see. Okay, diagram number 4. Developing a daily spiritual practice. Make your practice a daily practice. If you go to church or watch a service online on Sunday, consider making your spiritual practice days Monday through Saturday. That's what I do. Choose both a time of day and a location in your home for your spiritual practice. If your home is incredibly busy during the day, you may need to practice early in the morning or later in the evening, however that works for you. You can also have your place outside in nature. Sometimes being in nature can be wonderful as long as there's not distractions. And by distractions, I'm talking about people distractions. I took Ronnie to Yosemite National Park a number of years ago, and one of the places we visited was called Mariposa Grove. It's just inside the south entrance of Yosemite. It contains 500 mature giant sequoias. And the oldest one is estimated at 2,700 years old. So we got into the park early in the morning and it was so quiet. There were very few people, and we walked along the paved pathway amongst these magnificent trees. I mean, you could feel the energy and the peace and the serenity in that place. And we were really enjoying that. And all of a sudden we heard some noise coming up the path, just a lot of chatter going on. And we pulled off to the side to wait, and there were 3 ladies walking side by side, and the one in the middle really had a dissertation going on. I'm not sure what she was reciting, but it was really significant. And so there were words after words after words. The other 2 ladies weren't saying anything. And so we kind of let that go by, and it disappeared once it got out of earshot, and went back to the peace and the quiet. And just before we left, that same group was coming back the other way. It was the same situation. The 2 ladies on the side were quiet. The one in the middle was still going. So I'm not sure how much she enjoyed the park, with all of that. But it does bring up the point that we want to we want to be free of distractions. So if you do an outside thing, I would recommend you have also a place indoors, just for the weather, if nothing else. Okay. And it reminded me, the lady in the middle kind of reminded me of what happens sometimes when we go to meditate and our mind's running, around and around and around and around, this thought. Then we're going to address that here in a few minutes. Okay, diagram number 5. Things you may want to have with you. Soft music that helps you relax, such as Liquid Mind. That's my favorite. A journal or notepad and a pen. A spiritual book that you enjoy reading. An item that holds special spiritual meaning for you. A list of affirmations that you have developed for yourself or that you have found that work for you. So your spiritual book could be the Bible. So 2 of my favorites are A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, this one here, and the other one by Eckhart Tolle is The Power of Now, which is a great book as well. So this is a book you've already read. So you're just going to open it to whatever page it opens to and maybe read a paragraph or 2. Examples of an item that holds special meaning. It could be a little angel figurine. It could be a photograph, someone special in your life or someone who's on the other side. It could be your white stone from August. You could have that there. It could be the 3x5 cards that we passed out last week. And if you didn't get one of these, they're in the back. But something that holds some kind of special meaning for you. I use a blanket that Ronnie used. I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Okay, diagram number 6, examples of affirmations. These are my favorite. They're all lesson titles in the Course in Miracles workbook. I am as God created me. I am spirit. Love created me like itself. The peace of God is shining in me now. I feel the love of God within me now. God is the strength in which I trust. I am entitled to miracles. I place the future in the hands of God. God goes with me wherever I go. So if one of those kind of resonates with you, just grab onto it. And so we're going to practice a little bit with I am spirit. And I've got a little tuning fork here, and I'm going to play that just a little. I'm going to say that affirmation, I am spirit. And what I'd like you to do is, with your eyes closed, listen to me say it and then whisper it back. Okay, so you're not using your full voice, you're just using a whisper. And we'll do that 3 times. Okay, so if you close your eyes. I am spirit. I am spirit. I am spirit. Okay, if you open your eyes, I got the tuning fork a little too close to the microphone there. So we're going to do that again, and we're going to use a technique that I heard about from Deepak Chopra. And so as I say the words, I am spirit, what I'd like you to do is see those in your mind, right? I am, and then spirit. And notice there's a space between I am and spirit, a gap. Deepak calls it the gap. And try to take your attention into the gap as much as you're able to, into that empty space. Okay, so if you close your eyes. I am spirit. Just focus on that empty space. I am spirit. Take your awareness into the gap. I am spirit. Move your entire being into that space. Okay, you can open your eyes. I use these affirmations when I'm doing my spiritual practice, and I also use them at 2:30 in the morning when I'm awake and I don't want to be. And they can come in really, really handy. I actually did that this morning at 2:30, so it's always good to have some that you enjoy. Okay, diagram number 7, length of time for your spiritual practice. Consider starting with a short period of time if this is new, such as 10 minutes, especially if it's new for you. The amount of time that works best for you will develop on its own as you move along. Some days may be longer or shorter than others. Try not to judge it, just let it be. The recommendation is that you set a minimum amount of time so you don't skip it altogether. Put in the minimum amount of time even if you don't want to. Dedication and discipline are key ingredients. So there's going to be days where you're going to go, I really don't want to do that, right? And it's important to develop the habit. And you may just sit there and listen to your music for 10 minutes. And that's it. Or you may read some of your book for 10 minutes. My minimum time is 10 minutes. I'll always do at least that. And my time typically is somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes. Okay, diagram number 8. Possible activities for your spiritual practice. Listening to the music you have selected. Reading a few paragraphs from your spiritual book. Writing to your guardian angel and waiting for a response, or to a loved one on the other side, or your spirit guide, or God. Listening to a guided meditation. Watching your thoughts as they go by without becoming invested in them. We'll talk a little more about that. Selecting an affirmation from your list and repeating it slowly with your eyes closed. The idea is that this will help lead you into a meditative state. That's the goal. And the key is, do what works best for you. Okay, diagram number 9. What do you do if you find your mind is racing? Happens to all of us. Sometimes it happens way more often than we would like. Don't try to stop it. Just allow it to be. Watch the thoughts as you become aware of them without engaging them. It's like watching a train go by without jumping on the train. Look for a gap in the stream of your thoughts and focus on the empty space between the thoughts. Begin reciting one of your affirmations. Keep repeating the affirmation a little bit slower each time you say it. As you say the affirmation, try to focus on the empty space between the words in the affirmation. Deepak Chopra has some great YouTube videos out on that gap, focusing on the gap, especially between this stream of thoughts. That some of them are only 2 or 3 minutes long. If you try to stop your mind from racing, it's just going to go harder. Resistance to anything causes it to ramp up, right? Okay, diagram number 10. This is what I do. My meditation time is between 6:30 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. pretty much every morning except Sunday. I'm a morning person, so that works for me. I use Liquid Mind on YouTube for my background music. I also use a blanket that Ronnie used every day during her meditation time. If my mind gets busy, I will begin reciting an affirmation from the list that I have committed to memory. During my meditation time, I keep a spiral notebook and a pen near me so I can write down any inspirational thoughts or spiritual guidance that I may receive. In the evening, I will frequently pull up a Unity Orlando talk on YouTube and just listen to the guided meditation. I find that's a nice way to end the day. You pull it up, you grab the little red dot, you scroll to the meditation, you can listen to the meditation. So I start the music, I transmit it from my iPad to the sound bar by my TV, get the volume set, put the blanket on. I'll show you that blanket in just a minute. I recline my chair, close my eyes, and start reciting one of my affirmations. And I finish by going through my prayer list. We talked about that last week. It's always good to have a prayer list, people that you're praying for. I pray for all of you every morning, all of you online as well. And it's all about giving and receiving. When we pray for others, we're receiving at the same time. Okay, diagram number 11. This is Ronnie's blanket. It's actually a full-length blanket. I folded it up because I wanted you to see what she had embroidered, and it's the prayer for protection. And so she wore that every morning during her meditation time, and she always put the prayer for protection over her heart. And so that's what I do. I do the same thing. I put that in that same space. Now, she would wear it, she also wore it when she went to sleep at night. She could lay down on her back and sleep at night, not move. So she could put the blanket there. Me, I'm a side sleeper, so I'm always rolling over, so it wouldn't work for me. So she had that prayer for protection on her heart during the night and during her meditation time. Okay, story time. I want to tell you the story of my first wife. I told probably most of it 5 years ago from up here, but it's the best example that I know of how leading a spiritual life got me through one of the most difficult times in my life with a decision that I had to make, a very critical decision. And if I hadn't been prayed up, if you will, things could have gone very, very differently. So 1985, Debbie and I are 35 years old. I get orders to the Naval Air Rework Facility at Norfolk, Virginia. And so we moved there. I remember my first day. They overhaul aircraft and engines and all kinds of things. My job was to test fly the airplanes as they came out of overhaul, make sure they worked okay before we took them back to the squadrons. So I'm getting a tour, and we're in the hangar, and I'm looking at what I think is an airplane, but it doesn't really look much like one. And I said to the guy who was with me, I said, "What happened to the wings?" And he said, "Well, this airplane had a lot of corrosion. We had to take the wings off." I said, "Well, the tail's gone too." He goes, "Yeah, same deal. A lot of corrosion." He said, "Don't worry, we'll put all that back on. It'll fly just fine." And I thought, I need more life insurance. I've got a stay-at-home mom for my wife, for Debbie. I've got a 4-year-old daughter and a brand new baby girl. And so I don't remember if I actually got any more life insurance or not, but that was the thought that I had. And it all worked out fine. Sometimes the airplanes didn't work very well, and we had to fly them over and over again to get the bugs worked out. I remember one where the landing gear would come down, but it didn't go all the way up. And so all I know in the cockpit is the landing gear is not fully up. And when the guys on the ground they jack an airplane completely off the ground, and they run the landing gear up and down, and it worked fine for them. But it didn't work for me in the air. So I got that crusty old Master Chief that Susan was talking about and said, get some binoculars and get out there by the runway. I'm going to come flying by about 10 feet off the ground, and I'm going to raise that landing gear, and you guys figure out what's wrong with it. And they did. One of the gear doors didn't close. Closed without air pressure, but under air pressure it didn't close. So we had some interesting things, but it was a good challenge. Okay, so 3 years later, 1988, I'm not sure why Debbie had a mammogram at 38 years old. There was some cancer in her family. It might have been that reason. Her doctor says, well, we got something there. I don't think it's anything to worry about, but let's do an ultrasound. Does an ultrasound, goes, yep, you got a cyst, not a problem. We'll just keep an eye on it. We move here to Florida in 1989, a year later, new doctor, another mammogram, same result. He says, let's do an ultrasound. Does an ultrasound, yep, you're good. It's just a cyst. It's not a problem. So 1991, we move into Course in Miracles. I spend that whole year in a very intensive spiritual study going through that workbook that I talked about. And Debbie started to do it as well. And of course, it led me into meditation. 1992, the following year, we're doing a Course in Miracles group in our home. So we have people coming to the house, and it was another year of pretty intense spiritual study. One of the people that came to our group was a surgeon who was in Ronnie's medical unit. She was an office manager for 4 surgeons, and this was one of them. He's a vascular surgeon. So he hears about the mammogram and the ultrasound, and he goes to her, why don't you let me schedule you for a needle biopsy? Just to check it, just to make sure. I'm sure it's okay. She goes, okay. So she has that done. Negative. Comes back, no problem. So about 3 months later, he comes to her again and he says, why don't you let me take that out? Simple procedure. Take you into surgery, get rid of that cyst, and then you won't have to worry about it. And it won't show up on your mammograms anymore. And she says, okay. So I take her in, she goes into surgery, I'm with her in the recovery room, doctor comes around the corner, I see the look on his face, I know we're in trouble. He hadn't said a word yet. He comes to her and says, you have breast cancer, and it's very aggressive. I could not get all of it. So I want you back in here next week for a full mastectomy, followed by aggressive chemo and radiation. That's what we're going to do. And she looks at him and says, what are my chances? And I can't remember if he said 50-50 or 60-40, but the odds were pretty bad. So we're driving home, and Debbie says, I really need to think and pray about this. And remember last week I talked about Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus by John Gray? So for me, it's like there's nothing to think about. The solution is do what the doc says. My, Martian mind goes right to that. So she takes a couple of days and she circles the problem. She looks at it from every angle. She comes to me and says, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the Hippocrates Wellness Center in West Palm Beach for 2 weeks. I'm going to learn all about nutrition and exercise. I'm going to get my body detoxified, and I'm going to learn all those practices, bring those home with me, and add them to my spiritual practices. But I'm not going to do anything the doctor wanted. I don't know what to say, because I'm thinking she should do what the doctor wanted, right? So I don't say that to her because I'm in a tailspin now. So I go to my men's group the very next day. Well, guess one of the members of the men's group is the doctor who did the surgery, along with another doctor who's an OBGYN. And they're both talking to me that you can't let her do what she's thinking about doing. You've got to get her to do the medical treatments. This is really serious. Her life is at risk here. So I had path A, get her to change her mind, and path B, support her. Which one do I choose? My intellectual mind says path A. I go, I need to take this to meditation. Now, thank God I'd been meditating for 2 years. So I take it into meditation, and I'm a very visual person, so Spirit kind of presented me with some imagery. I'm thinking path A, I get her to change her mind, and the first scene that shows up is me standing at her gravesite. And I'm thinking, oh, this didn't work, obviously, if this is the ending. And then Spirit showed me the path to that, our relationship. And there was a lot of conflict because that's not what she wanted to do. And there was a lot of arguing, and there was a lot of discord, and there was a lot of distance between us, and it felt bad. Plus, the other part of it that felt bad is she did what I wanted her to do, and it ended this way. Okay, path B, I support her in what she wants to do. Scene opens, it's the same initial scene. I'm still standing at her gravesite. But then I'm shown the journey, and the journey was full of teamwork and cooperation and closeness and support, and I could feel the difference between the two. And when I came out of the meditation, I knew exactly what to do. And I went to her and I said, I'm with you on this. I totally support what you're doing. I had to fend off the 2 doctors in the men's group for a while because they were still pretty sure that she should change her mind about all this. And the reason I tell the story is that if I hadn't had that 2 years of spiritual development, this probably would have gone pretty badly. I'm sure I would have tried to change her mind because I didn't know anything else. Now, she lived 8 years, good years. She never saw a doctor again. She never had a scan. She never went into the hospital. None of that stuff. She was fully functional through 7 years and into the 8th year. Probably halfway through the 8th year, she started to have some shortness of breath, a little bit of back pain that she handled with Tylenol. She ended up in hospice for 1 week. I was the primary caregiver at home. What we didn't know was when that surgeon came back from the hospital after the surgery, he went to Ronnie and said, she'll be gone in 6 months. If she does everything I want her to do, 12 to 18 months. No one told us that. I don't remember when we found out. I may not have found out about that till after she had passed. So developing our spirituality can really make a difference, not just in difficult times, which it does, but also in good times as well. And we'll talk more about the good stuff next week. Okay, so to review, make your spiritual practice a top priority. Design a daily spiritual practice that works for you. Select a time of day and location for your practice. Be very disciplined with your daily practice. Make whatever changes work best for you as you go along. Remember that your ego will try to knock you off course and will come up with all kinds of reasons why this won't work for you. Or at least it'll say, just not today, you know. It's amazing how the ego does not want us to advance in a spiritual way. So you kind of have to expect that and put up with that and just go ahead and stick to your plan. Okay, pretty dramatic story, I know, but I did want to give you an example of how spirituality can really make a difference. It made a huge difference in my life, and it changed the course of it pretty significantly. Okay, so we're going to go into meditation, and we're going to try to find that space within ourselves where there's quiet And there's a sense of peace and a sense of calmness. And we're going to try to immerse ourselves into that space. And if you have anything on your mind that you're looking for guidance for, just think about that now as we go in there, okay? Okay, so here we go. Dear God, we ask you to be with us now. We ask our guardian angel to stand beside us. And we ask Jesus to lead us into a deeper awareness of our true nature. And so as we go inside, we take a moment and we just focus on our breath. We breathe at a pace that's comfortable for us. And we follow the flow of air as it comes in, as it goes out. We notice the rhythm of our breathing. And we relax a little bit more with each breath that we take. For we are moving into a holy place. The place within us where God abides. The place within us where our eternal spirit lives. And we acknowledge that truth about ourselves, that God's light is shining in each and every one of us. We acknowledge our eternal nature. That on a spiritual level we have always been and will always be. And in that awareness is a sense of peace. A sense of peace that the world cannot touch. A sense of peace that the events in our outer life have no influence on whatsoever. For this is the peace of God that passes all understanding. The peace of God that Jesus talked about. And as he would go up on a mountainside to pray, to be alone with God, so do we. Right now, in this moment, each of us connected to our Creator, feeling the oneness that we have with Him. And through Him, the oneness that we have with all of creation. The oneness that we have with nature. The oneness that we have with each other. For we have a shared foundation in God. And that foundation is eternal. Has always been, is now, and will always be. And we say, dear God, we are so grateful that you created us a very part of who you are. That your Spirit contains us. That we are one with you on a level our human minds cannot comprehend, but that our spirit knows is true. Help us, dear God, to feel that oneness, that eternal, deep connection that we have with you, that we have with each other. And with you, dear God, there's nothing that we can't handle. There's nothing that we can't do. And all of your wisdom and your guidance is available to us. All we have to do is ask. All we have to do is get quiet to sink into the love, your love for us and our love for you. And in that space, anything that we need to know will be revealed to us. Anything we need to understand will come to us. And so we thank you, dear God, for creating us as part of yourself. We thank you for the oneness that we share with all creation, with all those who are dear to us, with all those whom we meet on a daily basis. Help us to remember that we are one with all of it. And in that oneness is a sense of peace and joy and love. Amen. Okay. Thank you, everybody. It's time for our offering. Brian, you want to come forward? Okay, so those of you online, if you'd like to give a donation, and we do appreciate it, and we appreciate everyone here as well. You're what keeps this church running and going. For those of you online, you can go to our website, hit the Donate Now button. You can use PayPal, a credit card. You can use Zelle by using our Gmail address, unityorlando@gmail.com. You can pull our address off, mail us a check. We're very grateful. So let's say our offertory blessing together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. Over to the music team.
Just like me sometimes, acting on the dream inside, stirring up the thoughts that hide my shiny soul. When good thoughts cross my mind, my heart gets warm inside, and when our dreams collide, making us whole, sweet spirit, we are one, even though we've only begun. This life has shown there's more to come. This life in love, since the beginning of time. I felt you on my mind, never minding trying to hide my shiny soul. Now I feel peace inside, giving hope to humankind. All the love that's left behind is making us whole. Sweet Spirit, we are one. Even though we've only begun, this life has shown there's more to come. This life in love, this life in love. Sweet Spirit, we are one. Even though we've only begun, this life has shown there's more to come. This life in love, this life in love. Sweet Spirit, we are one. Even though we've only begun, this life has shown there's more to come. This life in love, this life in love. Sweet Spirit, we are one. Even though we've only begun, this life has shown there's more to come. This life in love, this life in love. This life in love, this life in love, this life in love.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you, band. You're so good. Okay. Thank you so much for your support for Unity Orlando. Next Sunday, I will be speaking. After that Sunday, Reverend Bob's going to be back. So I'm looking forward to seeing him, you know, I really am. And so my talk title is Enjoying Life. And so we're going to take what we talked about today and we're going to roll that into enjoying life on a whole new level, right? A way that just, everything just seems magical. And so that's what we're going to do next week. Okay, so if you'll all rise and we'll say the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you, everyone. Everyone online, they're signing off.